I just wanted to end with thinking about this in terms of your legacy, right? So we think of legacy of, what's left of the bank, right? But really, if we think about who we are as community, who we are in the world, um, our greatest resources are children. I really do believe that. And as parents, we have a responsibility to our kids. And I see this as an opportunity to have healing wherever possible with our family of origin, whatever that might be. And maybe it's our broader family. We all call family different things. We might have family. We might have been raised by a family of choice. But whatever our family is, this can be a healing time. But for our children, it's a time for them to see again that beauty in what does being family mean. How do we survive difficult times, knowing that love and loss sometimes do a little dance together, and we can still get through that. And so we are transmitting a legacy to our kids. And what are we transmitting? And they're watching us all the time. Even when they don't look like they're watching us, they are watching us and they are learning all the time. Children are always learning. And are we being intentional about what we're sharing? And it's okay to let your child know you're grieving or you're upset, but let them also know how you're working through that. That's the other end of it, right? That's the legacy that we're going to pass on is, and here's how we can get through that. Give me time. I'm sorry I couldn't color with you tonight. Mommy's just having a hard day, but you know what? I'm going to be able to do that tomorrow. I thank you so much for giving me that time. Just like I'll give you time when you need it. And we're just passing that along then as a legacy of love. So I think that's what I wanted to kind of leave as a piece. I do have a PDF. I don't have it here in the chat, but you can, if you go to my website, it's a free downloadable. And so I do talk about the different kinds of legacy you might leave if you don't have a lot of systems in place. If you are someone who has few legacies and few systems in place, and you're really stressed, your kids are learning a legacy of chaos, right? If you are you have some systems, but they're pretty incongruent, right? Like sometimes you're good, sometimes you're not. This works, that doesn't work, and you're struggling. Your kids are going to see that growing up and getting older is obligation. If they see you fighting with your siblings and with everybody around them, they're going to see burden and resentment. Or we can kind of try to see love equals compassion and caring, acceptance. And I can just tell you that in the course of 6 years, I was in every one of these quadrants. And this is who we are as human beings. But when we can keep our focus to, let me get back to the legacy of love, we're going to be the better for it. So it's not like it's static, it's just who we are. And the last thing is probably at the end of April and May, I will have my book out. I've spent quite a lot of time putting that together. And you know what? If you go to my website, you'll find the book, place for you to sign up to find out more about it. And there's a place for you to indicate you came from the Kunik community. I have a couple other communities I work with. Let me know and I will make sure that we work a deal. So I just want you to know that's coming.
Thank you.
And
there's another question here, Christy, if I may.
Yeah.
So Liz just has some background noise, so she put her question in the chat. The question is that when the older relatives that she's with are her in-laws, how do you recommend dealing with any tension between siblings, since she's not the sibling, she's the spouse?
Right. Well, I can tell you what I do. I just stay out of it. I try not to be the daughter-in-law, the sister-in-law who's coming in and telling everybody what to do, right? And so that's a real I try to. Yeah, that's a tough dance all the time. That's a tough dance, right? So depending on what your relationship is with your in-laws, your peer in-laws, your in-law parents, and if you're a single parent and I don't know, it for me it's about letting the people who are caring for the parents lead that, but and that's a personal choice. I believe though, if something was really going sideways, I might express my care and concern. And that's how I would do it. And again, I go back to how am I going to approach this conversation such that I can show up as somebody's trying to be helpful and not be critical. If I come in and I swoop in and say, just read a book and here's what you're supposed to do, just saw a website, here's what you're supposed to do, not going to be helpful. But I can think about, you know what? I care about these folks. What can we do? Let me know how I can be of help and be of service. And that's sort of the way I would do it. But I gotcha. I'm in the same place. And I kind of try to, maybe I tell my husband, hey, you should think about this. Tell your parents about that. So, yeah. All right. Thank you, Liz.
I sort of have like the opposite thing where my husband's been getting too involved with telling my parents stuff. And especially during COVID, it's caused like a just very uncomfortable tension where we have different opinions on things and different parameters of comfortableness, or what's giving us comfort. And it's really hard to have that conversation with my husband to be like, okay, take a step back, or like talk to me
Right. Right.
through or talk to me, and then I'll do it with them. It's easier to
Right.
receive
Right.
it from their daughter than from a son-in-law.
Right.
So I was, it's just
Right.
interesting, like as you were explaining that, how I feel like I'm on the other side of this, trying to deal with the tension.
Yeah. Yeah. My husband doesn't always like me telling him what to do either. So
Right,
we kind of work through that in our
right.
own little dance. But yeah. So but yeah, I mean it's
And
tough.
Liz makes a good point. She just put in the chat that COVID has sort of forced the sandwich generation on her. And I think that that's what happened. It was happening to me and our family too. So that's why it's kind of like all in our face, and
Yeah.
dealing with it. Not like we would be prepared maybe any other way, except for having this great session now. But
Right.
it's just like, it's just happened so quickly.
And I hope that there's going to be some real changes, but who knows, right? But I really hope, I think I shared this with you, Josh, when I first talked to you, I was saying, gosh, I think COVID might be the thing that's going to help sandwich generation parents, because hopefully companies, employers start to see, we didn't think we could trust our employees doing work from home, but maybe it would work, right? Because I know being able to listen, you might get called away to the emergency room at certain times, or you have to go and meet with this person or that person, and being able to do my work in my own time remotely is going to save me, right? There are some jobs you can't do that way, but there are many that you can, and hopefully that's something that continues with employers. I really hope for that. Um, at the same time, I see lots of changes, even right now. Jess, are you in real estate?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm seeing, I don't know what you do in real estate, but I'm just seeing tons more housing developers are building mother-in-law units, or that's what they're calling them, right? Or maybe they call them something else, but it's a second suite, right? A big two master suites, so grandma or grandpa can live there or whatever. That's been a huge thing in our area, where I'm seeing lots and lots of houses come online that way, or people building those units afterwards. So and that just is in response to, this is what people are needing, because people are having to move in together. It's hard to raise a family on one income. It's sometimes hard to raise a family on two incomes. And then if you have to add some money, I mean, the average sandwich generation family parent is contributing to their parents' financial bottom line. And that's huge. So